Hi everyone, this is Kelly with Kelly Ann Crafts. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in McKinney, Texas, and these are my November cards. And this is card number 1, and this series is just quick, easy things that you could mass produce if you had to get out some cards quickly for your Christmas season. And so the first card we're going to do, I am going to be calling this one, wishing you peace and joy. Pretty sure that's what I called it. Ah, let me get back to the first page of my script. I called it peace and joy. So anyways, wishing you peace and joy. And we're going to be using the Ornamental Christmas. We are going to be using the suite. This was an online suite that came out in September, I believe it was. Let me double check here, because I have to make sure I have everything accurate for you. It was an online exclusive that is in here. It's an online exclusive suite, and the suite is called Modern Christmas, and we're going to be using the stamp set, and we're going to be using the paper. And let me show you what we're going to make. So we'll be using this stamp set. Primarily we're using the Wishing You Peace and Joy. And then we're also going to use another item. This actually is in the mini catalog, and it's called Jar of Joy, but we're going to be using this little bauble um, stamp here. And this is the card we're making. And the thing about this that is really fun is this particular card is made with paper that comes from the suite we just looked at, the Modern Christmas suite. And for a sample of the paper, this is what the paper looks like, okay? And it's white and gold, but I didn't want a white and gold card, so I wanted color. So we're going to color it, and that's what's fun about this card. We're just going to have some fun with some coloring, and I hope you enjoy this. I sound like Crash Bam Boom in here. Sorry about that. I was obviously very well prepared when I hit go. Um, that is the human element that is my videos. So this is a simple front. Our inside is just got an insert, and that's where that one stamp comes into play. And then I put it on my envelope. So let's get out our bits pieces so you can see what you would have gotten in the kit if you ordered it from me. Of course, you get an envelope. You get your card base. This card base is 8.5 by 5.5, and we've scored it at 4.25. I'm going to ask you to come in with your bone folder and just reinforce that there. You will have a piece of uh, blueberry bushel paper, and that's the color of the paper, the cardstock. That is about, oh, this looks like it's a little bit over about 1.5 inches and roughly 4 inches. You really don't need much of that, because what we're going to do is we're going to stamp a line on this. I give you enough. So if you're like me and you need to stamp it more than once, you've got some space to do it. And then we're going to create our sentiment. And we are going to go ahead and, you really only need something about that thick, but that's a little bit hard to stamp on. Even this is a little bit hard to stamp on, and then we cut it down, and we're going to heat emboss that. And I'm going to show you the beginnings of it. And then for our inside, we have a piece of white, and then we have our gold and white designer series paper. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the color of those baubles. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper so that my background paper stays kind of nice. And I'm going to grab one of my blending brushes, some blueberry bushel ink, and I'm going to go ahead and color these baubles. I'm going to start off the paper and just go on top of the gold. And you may be going, well, that's making the gold green, but oh, there's a magic to this. It's really fun. I just like that. And if you're real careful, you could do each bauble in a different color. That would be a fun look too. Some of them can be lighter, some of them can be darker. It's kind of up to you how dark you want it. And I just come in here and do this all the way through, coloring my baubles. I just think this is fun. What a fun way to change the paper, but not really have a lot of work. Okay, so you could customize this. Maybe you're a purple girl, and you want purple baubles, for, for Christmas. Um, totally doable. Yes, it's a gold paper. The only thing it can't be is silver. So you could even make them black if that's what you want. Um, I don't have a lot of black on my Christmas tree, but yeah, who knows? So, anyways, I do that, and then I take a piece of tissue like this. It's just kitchen towel or um, you know a paper wipe, and I'm going to lightly spritz this. I'm going to spritz it off camera, but I'm going to have my paper quite a ways away. I just want this slightly moist. I don't want a soggy piece of paper. I want a slightly moist piece of paper. So I'm just going to spritz it a couple of times to get a little bit of that on there. And what that does is it lets me come in here and wipe off the blue. Okay, and it's not that that is really wet. It's just slightly damp, and I mean very slightly damp. And because if it was wet, it would cause the pigment inside the ornaments to be picked up. We just want to pick it off of the gold, and look at that. It's now beautiful in gold and blue. So I love that part. Okay, so I'll put this to the side for a second, and um, this stamp, if you look at it, is one long sentiment, but we're going to cut it in half. So to emboss, I'm not going to actually do the heat embossing on air because that is not a lot of fun. But what I will do is I will stamp it and put the powder on it. And one thing I will tell you, that when you are doing embossing, it's really good to bring in your embossing buddy and just go over this. What this does is it takes off any oils you may have put on it. Okay, and I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to, as straight as I can, go straight down and straight up. You want a good juicy stamp when you do that. And then I'm going to bring in my embossing powder, and I'm just going to slide this in here. You can spoon it on, but at this point, this one fits, so I'm just sliding it in. And if you want to do it twice, you can. Sometimes if you do it twice, if there's any part of it that's missing anything, it'll pick it up. Now you see there's some little schnibbles around the side there. This is real easy to fix. Take a toothbrush or a paintbrush and just wipe that off. And then I'm just going to tap this a few more times with the back of a paintbrush just to get it nice and clean. Now, I can leave this sit for a while. I don't have to heat emboss it right away. What you have to do is when you put the Versamark on, get it into your powder right away so that that soaks up and stays there. I'm going to actually do that off camera later, but I will show you how it turns out. So I took the same piece, and the piece was all together like this. I trimmed it down so I had a nice border. And then I just snipped it in half. Okay, so we're going to put it on our card like this. So this is done. And we still have our ink out. So while we do, I'm going to bring back my little inky paper, and I'm going to ink my envelope, and I'm going to put these cute little baubles on there. We'll be using this bauble stamp a lot in the next few cards. I did do a 4-card series for this month because all of these are so quick and easy. And I wanted you to have a variety. If maybe you only want to do 5 or 6 or whatever of each card, you've got that. And then let's get the inside of our card. I like to have the baubles look like they're coming off the top. So there we go, like they've been hung on the piece of paper. That's all our stamping. So you can see this is a very, very fun, quick card to do. And let's put the card together. So let me grab my seal, and do my Barnyard Z on here. Like the Barnyard Z, it works so nice. And then I'm going to put it on the inside of my card as straight as I possibly can. I think that looks pretty straight. We're going to go with that. Okay, I have a little bit of embossing powder on here. Let me just soup this up. Now, if you do have embossing powder stuck somewhere, taking a slightly damp, not wet, paper towel, you can wipe it off real fast. Okay, and we're going to put this on the front. Again, I'm just doing that quick little Z. And how I did this was, this piece of paper is 2 by 5 1/4. So you're going to have about 1/8 of an inch border on 3 sides of it. And I just put it on there as straight as I can. And if it's not perfect, well, that's okay too. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm going to bring these in, and we are going to put dimensionals on them. And everybody knows I love dimensionals. And I've put the dimensionals someplace safe right now. That's how it goes. Every single time I put those dimensionals in a safe spot. Where did I put those safe spot ones? You want to use the smaller dimensionals. I don't really want to be cutting any dimensionals. So you want to use the smaller dimensionals. And is it over here? Okay, I really did a good job of hiding them. Oh, found them underneath my paper. That's so funny. Anyways, well, I like to have fun with what I'm doing. Okay, so I like to use a lot of dimensionals. You want this, I put 3 on here. It's not very big, but it just gives some dimension to the card. And I don't like the center of a sentiment to sag. And because they're tiny, I use 3 on each of these. Okay, and I'm using my Take Your Pick tool. Otherwise, these things stick on my hands. Okay, I'm going to put those dimensionals off to the left. Next video, remind me where I put them because I'll probably be looking for them. Okay, and this says Wishing You. I picked the first one correctly. So I'm just going to place this right in here. And I'm not pressing down on it too much because if I don't like it, I want to be able to move it. And then I'm going to pick off the backing on these and throw those in the dustbin. And I'm going to try and center these. Now you can put them real close or you can give them a little bit of space. I'm going to give mine just a little bit of space. And it's stuck enough that I can pick it up and kind of say, hey, that's straight. Now I'm going to commit it by pressing on it. So now all we need after that is to put some baubles, a little bit of some bling. There's gold on here. We need more bling. You know, if there isn't enough bling, we'll add it. So I'm just adding 3 of these low profile dots. These have been my favorite this season. I hope they never go away, but I think they just went on the last chance. So if they did, I highly suggest buying a bunch of them because they are so nice and they're flat. And I like that because when you go to mail this card, it's not going to be extra postage. It mails really flat. It's just a very nice card, leaving you a lot of room to write your message and greeting for your recipient. So here you go. There's that card. Now, I wanted to show you what it looked like in a couple other colors. So I did do a couple up in a few other colors. Not many, but like I said, purple would have been a good one. But I did it in green, which I think is pretty stunning. And I think the red is also very stunning. This is Cherry Cobbler and this is Garden Green. I'm sure you could use um, you know, melon mambo if somebody really was into like a hot pink, or using some of the newer colors, the strawberry slush, or some of our other in colors, petunia pop, peach pie, summer splash. Any of those would make a beautiful card and variation for you. But this is the one we did make, and that's just a couple of samples for you. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you check out my other videos. There'll be 3 more videos. Again, simple, quick, easy cards for Christmas season that you could make a bunch of without spending hours and hours and hours. So I hope you enjoyed this. God bless. Take care.